At the New Jersey SBDC Network, our mission is simple: to help businesses grow and succeed. Our consulting, training, and information services make it easier for businesses to reach their potential. Whether you're currently in operation or just starting out, we have the right tools, resources, and expertise to help you succeed. Visit us online to get started on your path to success today.
A pleasant good afternoon to everyone. My name is Takoa Bell. I am an event coordinator for the NJSBDC at Rutgers-Newark. And on behalf of Dr. Tendai Enduro, our regional director, I would like to welcome you all to our Understanding Personal Credit and Scores webinar. For those of you here that are unfamiliar with the SBDC, it stands for Small Business Development Centers. And here at the New Jersey Small Business Development Centers at Rutgers-Newark, we serve as the premier provider of business training and technical assistance services to establish small businesses, startups, and to entrepreneurs. We are one of 12 centers in the NJSBDC network, and we service those within Essex County. Our center is hosted by the Rutgers Business School and funded through a public-private partnership agreement between the Small Business Administration, Rutgers University, and the New Jersey Business Action Center. Our mission here is to help entrepreneurs as well as business owners start and grow sustainable, successful businesses through the delivery of one-on-one business consulting, training, and technical assistance programs. Now, all these services are provided to you at no cost and are paid for by your tax dollars. If you or your business is located in Essex County, our website is www.rnsbdc.com. And once you're on the site, on the top right-hand corner, we have a red button labeled Request Counseling. So clicking on that button will lead you to fill out some information about your business or your business idea. And within 24 to 48 business hours, we will assign you to a consultant. And for those of you here that are not in Essex County, our headquarters website is www.njsbdc.com. And on that website, you can type in your county and it will refer you to your local SBDC office. For the benefit of everyone attending today's webinar, we will be taking questions via the chat or the Q&A feature here on Zoom. So please feel free to ask and post your questions, and we will do our best to respond during or at the end of today's webinar. A copy of the presentation slides, along with a video recording of this webinar, will be emailed to you within 48 to 72 business hours so that you have all this information to refer to after the webinar has ended. It is now my pleasure to introduce to you all our presenter for today's webinar, Carmen Morris. Carmen is the CEO and founder of Nibiari and Associates, as well as Business Mastery Consulting Service. Carmen is an SBDC consultant here at the NJSBDC at Rutgers-Newark in the areas of international trade, strategic planning, and credit counseling financing. And now, without further ado, I will turn today's presentation over to Carmen.
Thanks, Takoa. Can everyone hear me and can everyone see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I want to welcome everyone to Understanding Personal Credit and congratulate you on taking your first step towards managing your credit. We're going to be covering a lot of information today. So feel free to just raise that. There's on the lower right-hand side corner, there's a hand raise, or you can go ahead and type it in the chat, all the questions that you have. I'm going to take it straight through the end. And at that point, you can ask all your questions. So if you want to go ahead and start asking the question as I go so that you don't forget towards the end. But I want to make a little disclaimer here. I am not an attorney. So any information that you receive in this presentation should not be considered legal advice. This is information that I have acquired through the years and based on my own experiences and thousands of clients that have worked also for them. So whatever action you take or don't take based on this information is strictly up to you. So let's get right into what we're going to be covering today. And that is, we're going to talk about your FICO scores, because a lot of people get confused on what is a FICO score and where does it come from and how does it get calculated. We're going to cover all those areas so that at least you start with some valuable knowledge when you pull out your credit report. We're going to talk about your credit profile, the importance of it, and why you should make sure it's cleaned up. The steps to rebuilding your credit, especially for those that have gone through financial crisis, bankruptcy, and different stuff on their credit. We're going to talk about different steps that you can take immediately today in order for you to fix it. The credit utilization, which a lot of people get confused in the amount that you should use in a credit card and the amount you shouldn't use. Basically, the do's and don'ts of your credit. Dealing with collections, which is a huge, huge problem many of us face at one point or another with our credit. And what does the law say concerning what's inside your credit, what information is given to the lenders about you, and who provides this information, which is the third data minors that many people don't even know about, and what information is in there that can harm your credit. So what is a credit score? Let me just go back up here because I want to take this down here so we can see it better. So what is a credit score? This is just statistical numbers that dictate your credit worthiness. And it's based on the history of your credit. How does this get there? We're going to discuss exactly how it gets in your credit. It ranges from 300 to 850. Now, the lowest credit score that anyone can have is 300. Because right away to begin with, if you have no credit and if you're just starting to build your credit, or if you're just starting to establish your credit history, they give you 300 points. Now, between 300 and 850, there's 550 points that you are responsible for. And we're going to discuss how you can get this point and how you can make sure that you maintain these points on your credit in your credit report. So not all credit providers use the same system to give you your scores. So that's the reason why sometimes you see that in one particular credit sector, you have one scored and then it varies in another because they use different formulas and calculations to calculate your credit. The most widely used, it's called, my screen is not changing. Can anybody see? Okay, there you go. No, there you go. I'm sorry for this inconvenience. But the most widely used, it's called the FICO score. It was established by the Fair Isaac Corporation about 25 years ago. And it's used so much that now it became the name for the scores on your credit report. So everybody calls it a FICO score, but not every score that you have is a FICO score. Because it's the most widely used in the industry, this is the reason why everybody refers to it as a FICO score. The numbers are almost the same in different types of scores that are used to calculate your credit worthiness, but not every credit that you get online is going to be a FICO. So if you are looking to monitor your credit and you're looking to build credit, I recommend, and many other professionals out in the industry recommend, that you use the FICO system. Why? Because most banks and credit cards and most lenders, this is what they pull. So much so that the banks are now offering you these free services. If you look at your checking account and when they send you emails, you're going to see that they're offering you to pull out your credit or for you to monitor your credit. And these services are offered by the banks because they use what is called the ultra FICO score to monitor your credit and to give you the ability for you to build your credit as you manage your checking account or your savings account. So for those people that are having issues, financial issues, that have passed through a bankruptcy, this is a great way for you to start building your credit. Maintaining a very keeping the responsibility on how you maintain your checking account. never bouncing a check, never letting your account going in the red and having any overdraft charges, because that affects your credit. So this is what is called the ultra FICO scores. And this is used mainly in the industry to help people build their credit. And banks are now, as I said, banks are now giving you the opportunity to pull your credit, right? To give you that service because you are a customer of that bank. So one of the ways for you to make very good use of this, if you are that person that is trying to build your credit or is trying to establish a credit profile, is that you set to pay your bills every month directly from your checking account. If you do this online and they see the consistency, you're going to see your score go up in many, many points. So this is the way it is. These are the numbers that factors into your credit scores. Remember I said 300 is the least you can have. That's the lowest credit score you can have. Everybody is a 300 at one point or another because they started there. So, and it goes from 300 to 580, it's poor. So, and it goes to fair, good, very good, and then excellent. The other types of credit scores vary a little bit from these numbers, but not by much. But as I said before, this is the one that is most widely used. So how do these numbers are made up? Payment history is up to 192.5 points on your credit report. Now, you remember that I said to you that the lowest is 300 and that you are responsible for 550. So these are the 550 points that you need to look into when you analyze your credit. And you can look at your credit, analyze it, and say, okay, so I have a bad payment history. So that means this is what's affecting my credit the most. So this is what I need to work on. Utilization, meaning that you have used the amount of credit that is given to you and you have used a certain percentage. I recommend that if you are building your credit and if you are trying to establish a good credit profile, that you always stay under 10% of your limit, your credit utilization, meaning that if you're giving $100 of credit, you can only use $10 or lower. I know there are a lot of people out there say, oh, you can use 28% or 30%. If you are someone who is under a credit score of 750, you should not ever keep a utilization of above 10% because it's going to harm your credit. So in going back to the payment history, if you see it is the highest variable, it is the highest impact variable on your credit because it's 192.5 points that affects you. So if you have a late payment that it's 30 days late, let's say, the minute that hits your credit for 30 days, you can lose at least 50 to 75 points right there. The minute that goes into 90 or 120 days, it goes to the total amount of points that you see on your screen. So you have to be very, very careful that you don't oversee the statement dates and the due dates on your credit cards or on any loan, because that is what affects your credit the most. The utilization is if you get a credit card with a limit to use a certain amount, you should know that by the statement date, and that's something that you should become very familiar with all your credit cards. What is the statement date? Because you can use the 100% on that credit card. But if you get that number to a 10% before the statement date, you're fine. I do that with some credit cards. I charge everything on credit cards. And by the statement day, before the statement day, I make sure that I get it to a level where it's not going to affect my credit. So this is something that you should know, that it's not that you cannot use what's on that credit card or that credit limit. It's that you should know when to use it by and what day it should be down to that 10%. Then the length of credit history, meaning the age, how long you have had credit, how long you have had that account. And it has to be reporting accounts. That's another thing I have to also tell you. For the payment history, it has to be open accounts that are constantly reporting to the credit bureaus. For the length of credit, it works a little different, because I've had clients that have said to me, oh, I had stuff on my credit report for 15 years from student loans that were there, and I finished paying them, and I don't want them on my credit. That's wrong, because if you have an account or student loan that you have paid and it was in good standing, you should leave that on your credit. You should not try to go ahead and request to delete it, because that is 82.5 points on your credit report. So your score, the age of the accounts that you have in your scores, it's determined, and it's 82.5 of those points is how long has it been. So if it's an account, like I purchased a Mercedes long time ago, and it's still on my credit that it was paid off, but I left that there because it's beneficial to my credit. But however, if you know that you have defaulted many times in that account, and that account it's harming your credit, then you can go ahead and dispute it and take it out. Now, inquiries, and it's 55 points. A lot of us overlook this when we're shopping for a car or shopping for a house. We go to different mortgage companies, we go to different car lenders, and then boom, we see our credit just drop, because this affects your credit. The minute a lender sees that someone is pulling your credit from every different direction, that is a negative. It has a negative impact on your credit. So if you are shopping, my recommendations is that if you are shopping for a car or home, that you do your research and you find out exactly what it is that you need. Go test drive that car. You don't need to give them your information. You need to, after you make the decision of the car that you really want to go with, then you go to that particular lender and you say, okay, now you can pull my credit. But you have to make sure that you don't give them your information, because it's passed down and this information can affect you. Because 55 points here and there, if your credit score is only 650, it'll get you right at the 600. If your credit score is is 620, it'll get you in the 500s. So you have to be very careful, which no other lender will touch you at a certain credit score. Now, the other 55 points are the credit mix. Credit mix is the types of account that you have. And I'm going to discuss how many accounts you should open and what you should go for, which is pretty simple. I'm going to give you the strategies on how to do it. The credit mix include what type of account. Is it a car loan? Is it a credit card? Or is it a secure credit card? What is it? And that accounts for 55 points on your credit. So guys, this is how that 550 points on your credit gets calculated. So now let's get started in seeing what does your credit profile looks like. The first thing you need to do is that you need to go to annualcreditreport.com. This is free. Once a year, you can go ahead and pull your credit and verify all the information that it's on it. 99% of the time, you're going to find information that you do not want or is harmful to your credit. So just pull that credit. It is free. Now, I'm not so sure if it's still every month, because as of April of this year, it was supposed to be every week. You could have gone and pull out your credit report. But now I think it's every month. After the pandemic, this is how they did it so that people can go ahead and continually check on their credit and see what's happening there. So the first thing that you're going to do when you pull this report is that you're going to verify everything on it. Go over the report. Look at the personal information. This is extremely, extremely important that your information is correct and is current. This is how you can dispute with all the bureaus. This is how the creditors can verify you if that information is correct. And it doesn't have to be information from the past 10, 15 years. No, it has to be current. If it's an address that they can reach you at right now. That is the law. It doesn't need to have an address history. They don't need to know where you lived 20 years ago, if you live with your aunt or your uncle or anybody. That should not be on your credit because it can harm you. It should be one employer. It should not be a whole bunch of employers because you work here and there. That shows that you are not stable. When a creditor looks at it, they look at your profile and your personal information to see a lot of the information and judge you based on that. It should be one phone number. It should not be a home number and a cell number. No, it should be one phone number and that you can verify all this information right away. And it must be current also as well. So your personal information is how they validate your debt and they verify you. In fact, the credit bureaus use 3 steps in their system in which they look at your first name, initial, your last name, and your zip code. And right away, they match you with the information that is being provided to them. So if you have a last name, if you have a debt that is showing up and is something old from different, that is being passed down from collection agency to collection agency, and it's a different last name, and that is no longer your name, you can dispute that and have them verify that this has to be taken off. So the creditors, they pay close attention to your personal information. So this is why we start here. And what you do to correct that, once you look at your report and you see that this information has all addresses and phone numbers and your other names that you don't no longer go by, make sure that you get it current. For those of you here on this webinar today, I will provide you with the letter that you can send to correct your personal information. Excuse me. That's the letter that I use, and I use for thousands of clients, and it works. You send them this letter and tell them with your state ID and one utility bill, proving that this is who you are, this is where you live, and you would like all your information to be changed and to be current to what it is right now. But make sure that you clean up your personal information, because let me tell you, the less information you have on your credit, on your personal profile, on your credit, the better it is for you. It is better because you can dispute anything that comes back, and a lot of debt that sometimes are put on your credit report doesn't even belong to you, or it has an error, because even if it belongs to you and it has an error, it has to be deleted because it has to abide by the law. And I'm going to cover that further on the presentation. So the way that this information gets to the credit bureaus, let's discuss these data miners, these people, and how this information gets to the credit bureau. How did that account from 15 years ago, 10 years ago, all of a sudden shows up as a collection somewhere? How does a bankruptcy, a judgment, or anything, any public record shows up on your credit report? Well, this is what happened. There is a company called LexisNexis, CoreLogic, SageStream, and Innovis. These are what are called third-party agencies. They're not credit bureaus, but they monitor you. I tell you, they monitor you since birth. They go and collect information, and they take this information and they monetize on it without you even knowing about it. Now, LexisNexis, the first time I pull out my LexisNexis report, it was 149 pages. I almost flipped. I even had a parking ticket in New York, from New York City, from 1980. I'm telling you, these people follow you and have this information about you, and they will use it and monetize on it to sell it to the credit bureaus. This is where they pull out all the information that is on your credit report, aside of the creditors sending their information themselves and reporting you as being late or under collection. So if you're not familiar with them, you should find out about them, who they are. The good news is that they have to abide by law. There are laws that protect you, in which you can go ahead and request a freeze on those accounts. That doesn't mean that the information is not going to filter to the credit bureaus, but it means that you can also dispute the information on those reports that they have about you, because most of the time they will not be able to verify any information about you other than what they get from public records from the courts, and the courts do not report to anyone. So I just want you to go in, pull your report, and find out. You can go on their website and request it. I know CoreLogic and SageStream, you could do it online. LexisNexis, you request it, they'll send you a letter, 10 days, they give you a passcode, and then you can go print your report. Now they don't even send it to you. A few years ago, they used to send it to you. And I guess they've seen that it's costing them a lot of money to be printing and in paper. So anyway, become familiar with these people, because they're the ones that gather your information without your permission. And there's something you can do about it. You can go ahead and also clean them up, and none of that information will filter to the credit bureaus, especially those who are dealing with bankruptcies. Yes, bankruptcies you're able to get rid of them, because many times they have a lot of mistakes. And most of the time they claim that the way the information came to the credit bureaus, they say that, oh, it came from the court. It doesn't come from the courts, because the court does not report any information to any credit bureaus. So I just want you to become familiar with who these people are. So remember, go to annual credit report, creditreport.com, and pull out your credit. Remember, the address must be current, at least one employer. But let me just say something about the employer. You can have two employers if you are working currently at one. But if you're not working and there's only one employer on your credit report, just keep it there, because it shows that much solid in responsibility. So if you're currently not working and you have one employer or on your credit report, I'd rather you keep that employer where it is on your credit report until you go ahead and find another job, and then you can and say, okay, well, now I have this employer, now I want the credit bureaus to go ahead and delete whatever they have. So organize yourself, collect all your bills, budget, and create a record keeping system that would allow you to keep track and would avoid you to falling into different pits. I created this because I teach my clients that you need to use credit responsibly, and use it to your advantage. Don't use it to harm you. If you are giving a credit card with a $3,000 limit, and it doesn't mean that that's money in your bank. It means that's money that you can use. And to me, I have rules. I say that it's only money I can use only until the statement date approaches. At that point, I can go ahead and move on to the next month. Wait a couple of days, make those charges again if I need to. But at that point, I need to know that I need to bring that to at least a 10%. The way I use this also credit responsibly is that I use credit cards that pay that give me points and incentive. So sometimes I have points like $15 worth of points, and I use that towards the 10% interest that I'm paying them, that towards the interest rate that I'm paying them for keeping that 10% balance on the credit card, which is sometimes like $2 or $3, but at least I'm not losing. I'm gaining money, because if I'm charging $1,000 a month and I'm keeping 10% of that on the card just to build credit. So I'm using whatever points they give me or the rewards that they give me, which is sometimes like $15, even up to $20 a month. So I use that, I redeem that, and I use that to pay the interest for that 10% that I keep on that card. So I'm using their money to keep my credit going, and I still have that amount available to me. But that's something I can explain to you as we go on the presentation. If anybody has any question as to how I do this, and I do this every month, so I use it responsibly, I use it towards my advantage and not their advantage, because they're looking for you to default on any account so that they can charge you this high interest and this high fees. Don't ignore the creditors. And I'm going to park here for a while, because many of us receive letters on the mail and we just don't open it, and oh, we don't want to just talk to credit collectors or anything. When you get the mail, do not ignore it. Open it, because that is the time that you have to go ahead and avoid from that debt getting into your credit report. And once we get to the collection aspect of it, I will explain to you why it's important that you don't ignore the creditors. If they call you, you don't ever identify yourself, and don't ever validate a debt on the phone. You let them talk. If they're not saying what they need to say, you just hang up or tell them to communicate. If you are calling this person, then communicate in writing. Do not talk to, especially collection agencies, do not talk to collection agencies on the phone. Everything needs to be done in writing. Pull your credit. One of the ways to avoid falling in this pit is by pulling your credit on a constant basis. Look at it. Use it to your advantage. Don't ever co-sign for anyone. Why? Because 80% of the time, you are going to face the ramifications of that person not abiding by the contract that they signed with that creditor. I know that we have family members, and I know that there are times in which you cannot avoid it. But for instance, I always tell my family, and I tell them, let me just tell you how we can do this. I can teach you in the next 3 months to do this on your own. I cannot right now co-sign for you, because I have other things that I need to do, and I cannot use my debt to income ratio on this account. So what I would do is I'll tell them, I will teach you in the next 3 months how you can increase your credit so that you can go ahead and purchase that and use your own name. And again, maintaining a 10% utilization, which is key for on all your credit cards. Now, let me tell you how the law is on your side. The Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, the FDCPA. This is the agency that collection agencies have to abide by, and they have rules, and they have rules that they violate all the time. Most of the time, these collection agencies who purchase this accounts receivable or this debt from creditor to creditor, they make mistakes. Most of the common mistakes they make is that they don't report the debt as being disputed within allowable time, which is the law. They give false and misleading information. Why do they give false and misleading information? Because they don't have the correct information. Most collection agencies most collection bills are medical bills. And most of this most of these companies, they have no idea what the original account number was, what they don't have anything bearing your signature. So there's a lot of things. This is why collection agencies are not that hard to dispute, because they have to abide by these laws that you can use to your favor. Now, there's the Fair Credit Reporting Act. This pertains to the credit bureaus and banks and creditors. They have to abide by these laws. I'm just using this one, but there's many laws that pertain to very many different aspects when it comes to credit. It states that they have to take responsibility and they have to be furnishers of correct information. Remember when we spoke about your personal information? Well, if my name is not Carmen Smith and somebody is reporting me as Carmen Smith and I'm Carmen Morris, so that's wrong because they're attaching that to my social security number. So that's the wrong information. So that is why these laws are here to protect us, because they tend to make mistakes. So this agency need to also provide you that with a statement that the debt is being disputed or that the information is being disputed. So all these laws that abide, they have to all abide by what it says. And these laws are here to protect us and to keep them also in check. There's the Federal Trade Commission. Many of us are familiar with it. I used it many years ago. When I became familiar with them about 20 years ago, it was with a mortgage company. This is where you file your complaints. They help you. They educate you in the process. If you have a problem, you can get in touch with them. You can file your report, and it maintains a fair marketplace, which means people have to be fair. You cannot be discriminated. There's a lot of things that go through the Federal Trade Commission, and this agency really, really regulates and protects consumers. Now, the common mistakes that many creditors made, especially collection agencies, because these are the ones that continually call you and call at any time, they call before 8 a.m. and after 9 p.m. That's a no-no. They contact a third party. They get the phone number for your sister or a relative or someone else asking information about you. They do this. They lie about the amount you owe. Sometimes it's not they lie, it's that you don't know the amount you owe. They just buy the debt. You know, the debt was $100. Oh, now they know that they can get $30 for it, so they say it's $30. Well, that's, even if it's your debt and you recognize that there's something wrong in the information being reported, dispute it and deal with it at the level of taking it off. Not at the level that you acknowledging the debt and saying, oh yes, it's mine. In fact, I don't talk to collection agencies, because if you've never done business with them, if they're not the original creditor and you want to resolve the issue, unless it's a pay to delete, I don't even talk to them at all. We deal with letters and we deal on verifying the debt each and every time. They give false information to credit reporting agencies. You see your account number, they never have the original account numbers. This is why you see those little asterisks and then 1, 2, 3, 4, that becomes the account number that is reported to the credit bureau. Well, that's wrong, because if that is the information they're reporting, you never had an account 3 asterisks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When you send them the letters to dispute, you address all this information and you address all those issues. And that's how you can go ahead and get that taken care of. Not responding also to a dispute. When there is a time frame in which the collection agencies have to say that the debt is being disputed, and it has to be posted on your credit report. Now it used to be 30 days, but now it's more, but I will cover that later on. So let's park here and talk about collection agencies, who they are, how they manipulate, and how they try to collect on debts that they have purchased from other creditors. They have to be licensed and bonded in the state in which they operate. These are things that you can find out if you check with your state. For more information on this, you can call the Consumer Affairs Department or the Attorney General's office. If you doubt that a collection agency who is trying to collect a debt from you is not licensed or something is fishy, you can go ahead and check and see if they license and bond it. So the consumer protection requires that they have a certain standards and that they have all their licenses in place. So if you're filing a complaint about a collection agency who's operating without any legal state in any area, you can go to the CFPB and file a report. Also with the Attorney General's office and the Business Bureau. So that you know that because some collection agencies, they are very small shops, they're very 2-3 people, and they're very small businesses. And all they do is they buy these big accounts with all these different little debts, and that's their business. But you can first find out if they're licensed. If you wanted to go to the extent that a collection agency just continues to send you letters. So when you're dealing with them, they must provide you that with the proof that this is your debt. This is why don't ever talk to them on the phone, because these people are trained very well to have you acknowledge the debt over the phone. And the minute also that you make a payment, if you make a payment arrangement and you decide later on, well, I can't continue to pay this debt, they will never get off your credit report because you have already acknowledged the debt. They have to provide you with a contract bearing your signature and your name, and saying that you have done business with them and that this debt is yours. And it has to be current information. If it happened 20 years ago and you weren't married and you were Barbara Smith, but now you're Barbara Williams, oh well, that's not me. So they need to provide you with information that is current. Whatever is on your credit report, whatever is on your legal state ID, that's what it should have. That's what they need to know to provide you. You don't ever provide them with information. The burden of proof is on them. It's never on you. So always make sure that they provide you with. So when you send this letter, the first thing that you send for them to verify the debt, it's the letter of verification. To verify that debt, you're not disputing it. The first letter, you're not disputing it. The second letter, you're disputing the debt if they send you proof that that debt is yours. Most of the time, they cannot send you the proof because they don't have it. They simply just don't have it. But if it has to get to the point, like for instance, many collection for student loans and other things that let's see, like Navient Solution, Credit One. So these are people that may have proof that this debt is yours. So if they have proven that that is your debt, then you move to the next step. There's still hope. Then you start the dispute process. Pull your credit, you send the first letter. Then you pull your credit 45 to 60 days. Remember I said it used to be 30 days. Excuse me. But now it's between 45 and 60. After the pandemic, that has changed until we continue to go back to normal, but the allowable time used to be 30 days. Now it's between 45 and 60 days. Then at that point, you check your credit again. And check also one thing, because if it's not marked disputed, it has to be deleted. During the period of time that you are disputing that debt, that agency, that collection agency, that creditor has to mark your debt being disputed on your credit report. If it's not deleted after you send the first letter, send the second letter. Guys, it takes a process to delete a collection. Many people say, oh, they can delete collections, this, that, and the other. No, it takes a process. It'll take you 5 to 6 months to clean up most of the stuff on your credit report. I've had people that have had 15 and even 20 collection agencies on their credit report. And that's because some collection agencies, they sell the debt from one to another, and they all get on your credit report. Sometimes the same debt is reporting 3 and 4 times. But this is how you go after. You start with the one that is the most current one. And if you can delete that, all the other ones have to go. Then dispute it with the bureaus. After you finish that, you have sent your first and your second letter, and you see that the dispute has, that the debt has not been marked disputed on your credit report or deleted, then you can go ahead and dispute it directly with the credit bureaus as a violation of the FDCPA law 807A. So the statute of limitations for collections to be on your credit report, it's 6 years in the state of New Jersey. However, if it has been there 6 years, and you see that the first creditor sold it to another collection, to one collection, and then that collection sold it to another one and another one and another one, so it's there like 3 different times, you go to the oldest one and see when is the last day of activity. The last day of activity is the last day when it was posted there. So I know I'm covering a lot of information here, but I hope this is making sense to everyone. Now, as I said before, when building credit, you start with the fundamentals. You first start with acquiring a secure credit card. This is a credit card that you deposit $200, $300, or $500, whichever you can afford, in an account, and they issue you a credit card against that amount that you deposit. Then after you have that, then you can go and apply for traditional credit cards, like a Visa, MasterCard with any bank. But at this point, your credit should be at least 650. Once you have the credit cards that you need, that you have been paying for 4 or 5 months, and you see your credit increasing. Then after you have a credit card, then you can go apply for a car loan or mortgage, because at this point, your credit should be in the 670s and above. But this is the process. You build on it. You don't go and apply for a car and a loan and you have no credit history. You have no credit cards, you have nobody that is reporting to the credit bureaus. It is not going to work. You will get denied and you'll be wasting your time. So when you're raising your scores, this is the profile that has worked for me, and it works for many, many people. Open a secure credit card with any, I know there is, oh my God, there's tons of them. All you got to do is Google secure credit cards online, and you're going to see, I know Capital One has it. Many banks are even having it right now. But the way you can go ahead and start raising your credit scores, if you have no credit, or if you have, if you're just file a bankruptcy, or you're trying to rebuild your credit, is that you open that secure credit card. Go to one of those federal credit union, like Navy Federal and any credit union, and open an account. I think Navy Federal is pretty good, because once you open the secure credit card with them, what I like about them is that they increase it and they turn it into a secure, not a secure, a traditional credit card, and they even increase your credit. I've had clients that have started 9 months ago, and they, with just $200 on a secure credit card, then they increase it to 1,000, and then they get the traditional credit card of 3,000 or 4,000 right after. And they do it in-house, they do it themselves, and they have a great car loan program also as well. So I'm not endorsing them, but I'm just telling you that they are pretty good at it. The only thing is that I think someone needs to be part of someone in the family needs to be in the service, or someone can refer you to it. That's the only way they'll open an account for you. But all the other credit unions work the same way. So you can go ahead and open an account in one of these credit unions, so you can start rebuilding your credit. Get a 5,000 to 10,000 credit line with like My Jewelries at myjewelries.com, AJ. There's different companies that will issue you a $5,000 to $10,000 credit line just for you to purchase on whatever it is that they sell on their website. Most of the time it's stuff that you don't like. So don't feel that you're going to have that money there and go spend it, because most people don't. Like myjewelries.com, they have a lot of jewelry. It's super expensive, but you can start with buying something for $100. Remember, the goal here is for you to increase your credit. I have had clients increase the credit 100 points just by opening a secure credit card and a $5,000 credit line. And you can purchase something for that you can pay $20 a month, and they report to all 3 credit bureaus. And that's all you want until you get your credit to the 700s and above, and then you can continue. So you wait 90 days and you apply for a revolving account. This is a traditional credit card that may be even issued to you by one of the credit unions that you have joined. Then wait another 90 days, and then you can go get a card or a car loan or a mortgage, etc. But this is the way that you can go ahead and start building your credit. So in summary, and I'm going to open it up for questions because I've been speaking for almost 1 hour now. So I'm going to open it up for question real soon, but let me just go over what we just discussed. Check your credit regularly. Pay your bills on time. Remember, payment history, it's 192.5 points. It's a high impact variable on your credit. So if anything else doesn't happen on your credit, this is the one thing that you have to make sure you keep. Keep the credit utilization, which is another high impact variable on your credit, below 10%. Don't listen to the 28, 30%. If you don't have a credit score above 750, you should not ever keep your utilization on any credit card above 10%. Never close a credit card account. This will lower your score. Unless, of course, you have a credit score in the 700 or 800s, which is not going to affect you that much, and you just want to close that account and get rid of it. So then that's fine, because it's going to affect you, but just for a couple of months, it'll go back up. So it's not going to affect you as much. But if you are building credit, don't close accounts. And also, I often hear of people, and I didn't touch on this, but I have to stop here and touch on this, that, oh, but I'm an authorized user. I'm an AU of my sister or my husband's account. This, it helps you on your credit, but it does not help you to build your credit scores. Okay, so don't count only on that to increase your score or to create a strong credit profile, because that, although it helps you, it's not what you need to create to stand on your own and have a strong credit score. Pay your balances in full every month. Never open a lot of accounts unless it's necessary. Like in the beginning, if you need to get to 800, of course, the more credit you have to you, the better it is. But If it's not necessary, don't open a lot of accounts. Pay more than the minimum payment. Always understand your statement date. It's very, very important that statement date, everything that you pay, it's prior to that. The due date, there's two different things. There's the due date. Yes, you pay before the due date, but for the utilization purposes, the statement date is key. You need to understand that date. It's very, very important. Keep your credit profile as recommended. The least information, the better it is. One address, your correct current address, and your correct names and last name. One phone number, one employer. You don't need an address history. All three bureaus have that information as address history. They cannot do that. If you don't complain about it, they're going to keep it there. And some of them, even Experian, it's one of the ones that is stubborn about changing your information, but you continue at it. If it's not done on the first round, it will be done on the second or third round. Set up automatic payments to pay your bills from your accounts so you'll never be late. Never ever charge an amount that you cannot pay by that statement date. Remember? So I'm going to open it up for question now. Takoa, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Carmen.
Go ahead.
Okay, so our first question here, can you clarify again how to leave the account open or remain on your credit report after it is paid off?
Well, after it's paid off, it's past, if it doesn't have any late payments, let me be clear with that. After it's paid off, if it doesn't have any late payments, it's a positive trade on your credit. So it's good because it talks about the age of your credit history. So as long as it doesn't have anything negative, even if it's paid off, keep it there. It's not harming you. It's more beneficial to you.
Okay, our next question is from Joseph. Should we dispute information on LexisNexis, CoreLogic, Credeco, SageStream, and Innovis prior to disputing items from the three major credit bureaus?
Well, the first thing you're going to do is the personal information. Yes, if that information is in your credit report, for instance, let me go to bankruptcies. If it's on your credit report, that information has been furnished by LexisNexis. Before you dispute it with the credit bureaus, there's a series of things you have to do. For instance, you need to clear off LexisNexis because they're the one who reported to the credit bureau. So if they're the ones who reported to the credit bureau, then you first need to clear off from there. Collection agencies that they're not reported by these third-party agencies. Collection agencies are reported, they do it themselves. And so there's some creditors. So any information that you see on LexisNexis that is harmful to you, even if the bankruptcy is yours, or even if the public record is yours, they have no right to report it to the credit bureaus. They do it because you don't know that you can stop them from doing that. But yes, any information, you will be safer and it will be better if you dispute it on LexisNexis and then go and attack the credit bureaus.
Our next question here is from Donna. What is the best credit card to use/get?
A good credit card, the one that gives you the most rewards. Chase is pretty good. Capital One has one that is pretty good. I also use Navy Federal, which is pretty good. It gives you a lot of rewards. I use the rewards to compensate for the interest that I pay. So it doesn't cost me anything. I use their money to pay the interest that they charge me on the money that I'm using from them. I don't know if you can get, if I said that too fast. I use the money that they give me as rewards for using the monthly amount that I use and pay by statement day. So I keep that money there for me to pay for the interest that they charge me on the 10% that I keep on my card, which means I'm using their money for free.
Okay,
Next
our next
question.
question from Spencer. How many points could closing a credit card that's 2 years old impact my score? I want to
50
close it because I don't like the company. It's almost paid off and always paid on time.
Okay, so if it's almost paid off and almost paid on time, I see, I cannot tell you that it's going to harm you that much because I don't know your credit score. But if you have a credit score of 750 and you absolutely hate this company, and as long as you don't use their card, you can cut the card, throw it away and never use it, but the account is still there. It's not harming you. I wouldn't close it if it's not really necessary. Because remember, if you go ahead and close the account, it can cost you between 15, 20 points. Next question.
Our next question is from Joseph. How do we file a lawsuit against collection agencies?
There is a process. You can file a lawsuit. You can, if you go back in the presentation, remember I spoke about you can go to the Better Business Bureau, send a complaint to the FTC, send a complaint. You can go to the local court and file a small claim lawsuit. You can, there's a lot of things that you can do, but I like to know who is the collection, because that's another thing. There's bigger collection out there like Navient for student loans and all these other collection agencies that you might as well settle with them rather than start going to court.
Our next question is from Donna. Is there a way to check your business credit? Thanks.
Yes, absolutely. If you have business credit, you must have a DMV number. You can go ahead and pay for that report. In these places, you can go ahead also and get it for free, but you're not going to get that much information. You can go ahead, yes, definitely. You can check your business credit also as well. If you have a business credit profile. If you've never had, if you don't have a Duns and Brad number, chances are you don't have a credit profile, a business credit profile. Let me correct that. Next question.
Shelly is saying here, I have a situation with a finance company that goes directly to a collection agency. What do you recommend? I have so much conflicting info from them and they are ruining my credit.
Takar, can you, is this person willing to share the information? Because I need a little more information before I can give you advice on that.
Okay, Shelly, so I'm giving you the permission to talk, so feel free to unmute your mic.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I need a little more information before I can give you the correct recommendations on this. What is the situation?
Well, I have a lease with a car company, and I have a great relationship with the dealership, but the finance company, like I pulled my credit report, and I know I made a payment. It doesn't even show up on a payment, and they keep putting me in collections. I mean, they're ruining my personal credit, and the records are wrong. And
do you have records that you made these payments on time?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to find it again because you know I've been going through this like you said, it is a process, and they kept promising me all this stuff and they're not doing it.
No, they're not. Don't listen. Who, the collection agency?
The finance company, you know,
don't talk to them.
Yeah.
Don't talk to them on the phone. Don't say anything. What I want you to do is I need you to find all the records that you have made these payments on time. then you're going to dispute with them the fact that they need, what is it, 30, 60, or 90 days late on your credit report? What have they reported?
Right.
Have they reported
Oh,
30,
they
60,
they
90?
put the loan into, they put my loan into default.
Okay, so if you have proof that you have made these payments,
Right.
then they need to prove that to you. Then you need to dispute it directly with them. Don't talk to them on the phone. They're not, you're going to get the runaround. You're going to waste your time. And if that
Right.
is the case, then at that point, you need to close the relationship you have with this particular finance company.
Yeah, because I had to get a settlement. I was in a settlement with them. And I mean,
So then you call it, okay, so if you're not settlement with them, then you have an attorney, right?
no, I didn't have an attorney. I've been doing this all myself, and it's been
Okay,
tough.
so then you need to take them to court.
Uh.
But before you do that, you need to make sure that you have your records in place to state
Right.
your argument. You need to make sure that you have all your payments, the days that were made, and you need to prove that. Because if you don't
Right.
prove that, it's going to take you a long time to get rid of that debt.
Well, what happens, it ends up being my word against their word, and then I have to pay. I mean, it
No,
costs
if
money
you
to
have
go to
proof,
court.
it's not your word against their word. It's against the
Right.
proof that is showing. They're going to bring their proof, you're going to bring your proof, and I think it should be decided in front of a judge.
Would that be small claims court?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next question, please.
Thank you.
Question. You're welcome.
Our next question, do you pay down to 10% on the billing due date or the statement cycle? Can you share in more detail how else to make our
Statement
credit
cycle.
cards work for us?
Statement cycle. For instance, statement date, the 27th. By the 25th, it's paid down. Automatic, I put an automatic payment, right? I schedule it to make sure I don't forget.
Right.
It's
And we
the
have a
statement, yeah, when you pay it down, it's the statement date that is important.
okay. And the second half, can you share in more detail how else to make our credit cards work for us?
I'm going to give you an example of what I do. Everything that you charge on your credit card, it is insured. So every purchase that I am making, I use my credit card. And I don't use my ATMs. ATM cards are, debit cards are a complete waste of time for me. I don't use them because they cost money. And you get into a habit and it costs you money. So I use my credit card. I have records of everything. I control the amount that I spend. And then not only that, I use the rewards that are given to me. In some credit cards, I have had rewards of $150 in 1 month. So these rewards I use to pay for the 10% that I keep on the card, because as long as I keep something that is positive, it's always building on my credit. So when it's reported to the credit bureaus, it's always in good standard, is an excellent standing. Because I'm making other charges, and you're always going to see the credit cards company increasing the limit on that card. So that's how I use it. And it's also beneficial to me. I do it both in business and personal. It's also beneficial to me because I have records. I don't have to be all over pulling receipts or anything. It's right there. The information is right there. Next question.
Our next question, does the 10% rule applies to secure credit cards?
Yes. Yes. It applies to any credit card.
Okay, next question. I have late payments. I have 2 late payments from my student loans from years ago. My loans aren't paid off. They are on a freeze because of COVID. I'm not too sure, Christina, what the question is on that one.
Late payments, you can, you got to find out who the lender is. Late payments, you can dispute. You can dispute it and get it off.
Okay, and we have a next question here. Is business credit the same as your personal credit? If
No,
not,
it's not.
how do you build business credit?
We have a webinar that is on business credit, but there is a way, a technique to build business credit. It's completely different. But we just did a webinar on business credit, right?
We did.
I don't know when the next one is, but I suggest that you register because that's something, it's a step that we have to do.
Okay, we have another question here. After 6 years of debt being on your credit report, what are the steps I should take to get this off my credit report?
Can you say that again? Can you repeat that again? I didn't quite hear that question.
Yeah, so after 6 years of debt being on your credit report, what are the steps I should take to get them off my credit report?
Dispute it directly with the bureaus. It should be taken off. They don't even ask questions about that. They don't even come back to you as being verified or anything. They just take it off.
Shelly's asking, how do you dispute with a car finance company? I like the dealership, but the finance company is a mess.
Isn't this the person that I just spoke?
Yes.
To?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. You don't. Yeah. Once you take that car out of the dealership, it's your relationship with the dealer counts nothing. It's between you and the finance. And as I explained to you, your situation is unique because you said that it was a settlement. That means there was attorneys involved, and I think you should go back to that with the all the proof that you have made these payments.
Okay, our next question started with 2 secured cards, now have regular credit cards and scores over 720. Is it okay to close secured credit cards and get deposits back?
I'd like you to get to the 800 and then you can close them off. It's going to harm you just in the beginning. A few points here and there, but it's, as long as if you like at 800, 790, it's okay because it'll harm you for a few months, but it'll be right back up.
Okay, and they're also asking, as a new business owner, do I list as my job on reports now?
What is the question?
Do I list as my job on reports now? I'm not too sure what that means.
I don't understand that question.
Okay, we'll move on to the next until they clarify. We have here a question, how do you get a DUNS number?
You go to dnb.com and you apply for it. It's a free number, free service, so do not purchase any of the stuff that they're trying to sell you because you don't need them. All you need is to create a business credit profile. I'm going to be doing webinars more in this area, so just keep an eye on it.
Right.
And remember, for those of you who want the letter, you can email me and I will send it to you on the in a Word form.
Okay. We have another question here. If you have several cards that are due and late, do you focus on one card at a time and let the others be late?
No, don't. You remember the high input variable. The high input variable is payment history. So I like to know the situation that this person is in. So if you want to open the mic, because I got to make sure I give you the correct directions or recommendations on what to do concerning that. So Takora, can you open the mic for this person?
Yeah, so that question was from an anonymous attendee, so I'm not too sure if they're.
Okay, so what, say the question again, because you're not giving me enough information for me to give you the correct direction.
Right, let me see if there's any more questions from them. Okay, so let me go ahead and give her the mic. She just put her name there.
Okay.
Okay, feel free to unmute yourself. Okay, I'm not sure. Okay, so I'm not too sure.
Are you there?
Yes, we're here.
Oh, sorry about that. I am like, okay, the situation, I have 6 different credit cards. The minimum is 300 for like 3 of them. One of them is 4,000 and the other is for like 500. I'm focusing on the $300 one. I'm like $100 short from paying it off. But the other 2, the $1,000 one is late. It just became 30 days late. But it's hard to pay all those while I'm trying to pay. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to take care of one at a time.
No, it's if you do that, you're going to fall into, if you do that in paying them.
Yeah,
off,
my score went down like 100 points.
and it's going to keep on going down.
I know.
Yeah, so this is what you do. You say you have 3 credit cards that they all have high balances.
I have 6 in total. One is 1,000. 2 are at about 5.
I don't need to know the amount that they are. The situation is that you cannot make the minimum payment of all of them. Is that what it is?
The situation is that I want to get out of debt, but I don't know how to do it without, you know, I can't pay $200 a month for that high $1,000 credit card, along with paying for the others, is what I'm saying. So what do I tackle the highest one first? I don't know.
Well, you tackle the highest one first, to the highest interest, not the highest one.
Okay.
The one that is costing you the most.
Okay.
But you need to make the minimum payment on all of them, because anyone that you miss, it's going to, but you tackle the one that has any interest, 15, whatever interest it is. That's the one you want to get rid of first, because that's the one that is costing you the most money.
Okay, so the highest interest first, and then make the minimum.
It doesn't matter if the highest interest is on whatever amount. The one that is costing you need to do an analysis. The one that is costing you the most amount of money, that's the one you tackle. When that one is done, you move to the next one. Can you transfer balances from one to another?
I don't know. I never inquired. But I can find
the balances. If you have a $4,000 credit card and you have a balance of $1,000, or you have a balance of $500 on the 4,000, and you have one that is 1,000 and have a balance of 900, that one it's hurting you. Right. So you need to transfer that one to the other one, pay that off, and move on to the other one.
Okay.
So you need to look at also that a strategy. If you can go ahead and transfer the balances, keeping it at that point, if you have to go to a 25%, 30% utilization, then it's okay, because you are working in bringing those other cards out of the way.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Next question.
Yes, so the next question here, can you apply for multiple credit card applications at the same time to prevent multiple inquiries on your credit report?
No, don't apply for multiple credit cards at the same time. It hurts you, because the inquiries, remember, 55 points.
Okay. And then we have another question here. Oh, from Christina. She's just following up from her previous question. Her question was, how do I dispute the late payments for a student loan?
You can go ahead and contact the creditor and then send them a letter. Find out who the creditor is and send them a letter. There's letters that you send concerning those late payments. and they can be taken off. It might take you 1 or 2 rounds in requesting that, but they can be taken off.
Okay, yeah, there's a few questions about the student loan late payments, so that should all be answered for everyone. We have a next question here. During COVID, I amassed a very high credit card debt. How would you begin to pay this off? Smallest amount first or highest interest rate first? Pretty much what you answered just now.
Highest interest rate first. Remember, the one that is costing you the most money, that's the one you tackle first. See if you can make transfers from one to another. Do an analysis and see if you can make transfer from one to another. If you have a card that is $1,000 and you can put it in another card that is only going to get you to a under 30% utilization, then you're fine. Transfer it to that card, and that way you only have one payment, not 2 payments.
Okay, we have another question here. Do I list new small businesses as my job on report thing?
Yes, yes. If it's your small business, if it's your business, that's fine. It doesn't matter how small.
Okay, Shelly's asking, what do you think about credit management agencies, those that are legit?
Honestly, I'm going to give you, this is me, my personal opinion is that if you got yourself into the trouble with your credit, I think you should get yourself out, because it's the only way that you're going to learn. It is not hard. It just takes time. Don't feel intimidated. Anybody can do it. I feel that if you pay someone to do it, you will fall right back into the pit. No matter how much you say, no, I will not do it, it will happen. Educate yourself, take an hour a day, or maybe an hour every other day, 2 hours on your own weekends, even if you just do it on Sundays, and just go over your credit and dedicate a few hours to fixing your credit and educate yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But paying someone to do it for you, I only do it in instances in which they need to purchase a home and it's kind of complicated, and then you can go ahead and do it that way, so you can increase your scores. But the best person to do it is you.
Okay, let's look at our last question here. Keisha, I need help with student loan debt forgiveness.
Yeah, it's right on the website. It's right on the website. There's loan forgiveness. It depends on how long you've had it, and if you fall into the guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
But there's many people that have gotten their loan forgiven. They have paid. You have to have paid a certain amount.
Okay, I'm seeing a question here in the chat. Is it DBS for business credit?
Is it what? I'm sorry. What's the question?
Is it DBS for business credit?
Doing business as?
For business credit, that's all I'm seeing. It.
I don't understand the question.
Shima, I can go ahead and allow you to talk if you want to ask your question via audio. Just feel free to unmute yourself.
Hello?
Hi, we
Hello?
can hear you. Yes.
Okay, hi, I'm sorry. I just kind of missed the part where she gave the abbreviation and where the website where you go to
DMV.com.
DMV, like the license plate?
David, next.
Okay.
Boy.com.
Okay,
DN for Nancy.
Okay.
DavidNancyBoy.com. It stands for Dun and Bradstreet.
Okay, DNB.com.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And also thank you about the information on tackling the debt yourself and recognizing that it is kind of scary, because I'm going through that right now, and I was heading in that direction of trying to get a company. But I think I'm going to take your advice, as scary as it is and as impossible that it looks to me. I feel like if I just take it, like you said, just it's a process and it's going to take some time.
I have some different kits that I sell, but I'm rolling out. My website is on construction, so they're not going to be on it until November. But I have some guidelines where I put all the letters and everything.
That would be great.
Yeah, but I recommend that you do it yourself, because if you don't do it yourself, guys, I've been doing this for 25 years. I've seen a lot of people get into it. Once you get educated and you know the credit game, you use it to your advantage. And it's extremely, extremely important that you understand it and that you know how to use it, so that when you go purchase a car, a home, or anything, it doesn't cost you extra money.
Yes.
Doing it yourself, don't be intimidated. It's not hard, it's easy. Once you know what you're doing, it's easy. And you could always reach out to us.
Yes.
If you have any questions. So you're not in this alone. You can call the center. There's different counselors there that can assist you also in the area.
Thank you.
Yeah, you need to do it yourself. I highly, highly recommend that you do it yourself. Don't pay anybody to do it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm seeing another question here. What is your thought about
last question, because we got it. I have
yes,
to
this has to be the last question. It's almost 2:30. Last question. What is your thought about closing an account that is paid in full and the company charges you a high annual fee and will not decrease or waive the annual fee?
Close it. What's the credit score? I need first, hold on. If the credit score is in the 700s, close it. It'll hurt you for a few months, but then it'll go back up.
They're responding 725.
That's fine. You can get rid of it.
Okay, and that's our last question, Carmen.
Okay, so I think this is the last question, right?
Yes.
So I want to thank everyone, and remember that we're here to assist you. Do it yourself. That's what I recommend. Do it yourself, and it's fine. You're learning the process, and it's even fun once you find out that, you know what, there is nothing on your credit that you cannot get rid of. Everything has there is always a solution to anything on your credit. And once you take control of it, you'll be fine. So I want to wish everyone a good afternoon, and thank you for attending this webinar.
Thank you so much, Carmen. Thank you for that informative presentation and for your time today.
Thank you.
So again, as Carmen did mention, if you have any more questions or if you're looking for any other assistance, we are here to help. You can feel free to visit our website, www.rnsbdc.com, to request that counseling. Okay, at this time, I would like to just refer everyone to the chat. There, I will be posting some of our upcoming webinars, as well as the direct link to go ahead and request that business counseling. So you should be seeing that now at this time. So the first link posted there will be our new tax changes for small businesses in 2021, which is actually happening today, right after this one at 3 p.m. And the link to register for that is there. So if you're interested in learning more about the major changes to the small business tax code this year, I do suggest to register for that one. Again, that'll be right directly after this webinar, once it's ended at 3 p.m. And we are hosting 3 other webinars this week. We have our Navigating Business Disruption and Manage Change webinar. We have our Taking Control of Your Company Finances webinar. So if you're interested in any of those webinars, please feel free to register for that at the link, or you can visit our website, www.rnsbdc.com/training, to view our other webinars and workshops that we are hosting for the rest of the year. I do want to remind you all that you will be receiving the presentation slides on this webinar, as well as the video replay within 48 to 72 business hours. So you can have all this information to apply to your business and help you grow and succeed. After this webinar has ended, in the browser, you will see a survey pop up. Now that survey will help us to adjust our webinars and workshops in the future, as well as give us some information on the type of assistance you may be needing for your business. So if you just have a minute or two to complete that, your feedback is very much appreciated. And on that note, I will now go ahead and end this webinar. I want to say thank you again to all of our attendees today for taking the time out for asking your questions. And again, if you are looking for business counseling, please feel free to visit our website, www.rnsbdc.com for help. Thank you everyone once more and have a great day.